Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we move on to the third panel discussion of the day, titled Data Guru, Orchestrating Analytics for Data-Driven Business Outcomes. And we have a very esteemed panel, and I'd first like to introduce the members of this panel. Ravi Shankar Panchanathan, Assistant Vice President and Strategic Practice Head Analytics, Infosys BPO. Rangaraj Sriramulu, Senior Vice President, Alorica. Rohit Kumar, Head Finance, Shared Services and Digital Transformation, Edelweiss Financial Services. And Rishi Agarwal, Director, IT, Concentrix Corporation. This session will be chaired and moderated by Deepak Narsimamurthy, Partner, Technology Consulting, EY India. Deepak, over to you.
Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the introductions as well. I'm kind of pleased to be moderating this session. The title itself is pretty, I would say, heavy, so to say, Data Guru. Before I start the discussion, I would like my panelists to introduce themselves, give a little bit more brief of what they are doing as part of their work, and then we can start with the discussion. So, Ravi, could you please start with your?
Thank you, Deepak. Hi, everyone. I'm Ravi Shankar. I handle digital transformation at Infosys BPM and also have been pioneering the analytics practice for the last 8 years with Infosys BPM.
Hi, Rangaraj.
Hi, this is Rangaraj. I'm heading the digital transformation for Alorica globally. I'm a senior vice president. Also, I was the first employee, or I set up the company Alorica in India, and I'm the MD of the company as far as the operations is concerned.
Okay. Thanks, Rangaraj. Rohit, over to you. Rohit, are you able to hear us?
He's on mute.
Okay. Maybe Rishi.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible now, Rohit. Yes.
Hi, I'm Rohit Kumar. I'm Head of Finance Shared Services and Head of Digital Transformation with Edelweiss Financial Services. I'm chartered accountant with more than 20 years of experience with past majorly the retail experience and setting up the shared services and digital initiatives.
Great. Thanks, Rohit. Rishi, over to you, please.
Thanks, Deepak. Good evening, everyone. I am Rishi Agarwal. I am Director IT with Concentrix Corporation, managing IT infrastructure and operations for Concentrix.
So thanks for the introductions. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to this discussion. So before I kind of start, fundamentally, when we need to talk about how analytics can have business-driven outcomes or how data itself can be used to harness a lot of business outcomes, the bedrock of all of this is clearly data, right? Data acquisition has changed over a period of time with the proliferation of, I would say, IoT. I would say the way social media has come up, that is changing, etc. Right? So I would say as a partner in EY, with my current role as the analytics lead here, looking at different aspects, I have seen this evolve, constantly with time. 10 years back, data acquisition was very different, management was very different, etc. It's changing. So Rangaraj and Ravi, maybe Ravi, you could go. And what do you really think about these aspects, and what are you really seeing in your experience on these aspects around data acquisition, management, etc.? Could you shed some light on that, please?
Sure. Thank you, Deepak. So, first of all, there is a big shift in the range of use cases which are happening. If I look back when I started the practice 8-9 years back, it was all about use of internal data from ERPs and CRMs, which were mined for getting insights and driving outcomes. But what is happening now is it's more and more unstructured data. It could be video, it could be audio and contact centers, it could be pictures. The range of data which is being used has really widened. And therefore, to support the data, the technology which is being employed is also widened. And along with it, obviously, machine learning, AI has brought in the added layer of driving business outcomes. So the primary point here is about the range of use cases and how they can be harnessed to drive the business outcomes which need to be delivered depending on the context. That is the biggest shift I've seen in the last several years.
So it's interesting, Ravi. I mean, if I look at all of these, almost there are like three vectors, so to say. One is really the humongous data availability. The second aspect is the advances in technology with cloud, etc. And the third thing is really the new age algorithms that have kind of come to foray, whether it's AI, ML, etc. Right? Now, in a BPO kind of context, I think you are all recipients of, in some sense, all of these three things as part of your day job. So, Rangaraj, if I may just call upon your experience in this, how have you seen these kind of aspects come to life in your own experience? Not just maybe in your current company, but also in your experience. How the data volumes have moved, which means the volumes handled by the BPOs have changed. The technology of handling it has changed. The algorithms have changed. So, what is your view on that?
Sure. Thanks, Deepak. So, if you see, there were days, we were only worried about the cost arbitrage, and customer analytics was a distant dream for us. But today, with technology as well as the improved customer requirements, because customer is expecting us, how are you going to improve the customer experience? How are you going to strengthen the customer relationships? How you are going to manage, the customer requirements and all that. So I will take it up in two areas, Deepak. One, how we are improving the operational efficiency. One, we are actually analyzing both the transactional and the operational data, which is helping us to reduce the response time, which is the critical thing, whether it is in the BPO side or the contact center side, how fast you are responding and how fast you are the resolution, you are providing the resolution to the queries, and how are you going to improve the net promoter score, because that is very, very key. Because now whether you take a chatbot or anywhere, immediately there is a customer experience or customer satisfaction is being immediately checked and validated. And second, I will check on the recent experiences on speech analytics, which is specific to contact center, which is helping us to detect trends. And like, for example, we have programmed keywords like what are the different customers are speaking and what are the phrases, even the emotions, which is helping us to take real-time actions now. For example, if the customer is annoyed, can I bring the supervisor in real time, and so that he is pacified, or how to really manage the customer at that point of time. This is helping us to promote customer loyalty, retaining the customers for our clients, and also know if there are risk customers. Immediately we inform our clients and ensure that the things are sorted out in real time. So that's one thing very important. Then it is also helping us to upsell and cross sell opportunities on the call. If we find that this is a client with all the detail analytics comes about him, we can immediately upsell or cross sell. And finally, this is one area where the compliance and risk issues comes. For example, in an hospitality industry, I'm saying, like, I'm selling a room in the hotel. I need to ensure that I tell him all the conditions. Previously, we used to miss it. Now in real time, with the help of speech analytics and other things, the next best action comes to us, and so we are ensuring even the compliance and risk issues are managed. So this is how I can say, both on the operational front as well as on the customer front, the analytics is being driven in a big way by the BPO.
Great. So interesting, in my role as well, when I go to consult with clients, we kind of sign up for performance improvement. So that's key, very key. So I want to kind of bring upon two sectoral experience as well. While analytics and data is kind of viewed as an horizontal, if I look at finance and retail as two sectors where there are significant, I would say, margin pressures. So let's take an example with retail, for example, right? So Rohit, can you kind of talk about how you think in the retail sector, how analytics is helping you really drive up margins, have better upsell opportunities, etc. Can you give me your view on this, Rohit, please?
Yeah, so I can give you best case about the retail, how this entire big data analytics help us to improve the sales and the margin and the customer experience. Like one example, earlier the people used to get their sales report next day very morning, but now all the sales manager, store manager, territory manager, they are getting the real-time sales data depending on the SKUs based data and whatever the margin they have earned on each particular SKU they have showed. And basis of those kind of insight and informatic, they can immediately change their entire selling patterns and whatever the real-time action they need to get. That has improved a lot of sales and the margin in the entire retail stores. So that is one aspect. Another thing is in terms of the implementation of certain technologies. So we have consolidated the entire procurement of a big retail company, and then with the good analysis and all the marketplaces are coming together, it has given a huge insight in terms of the sourcing information, which product is available at what particular prices, at which particular region, and which particular vendors, and it gives us around 25 to 30% of the cost saving on the entire procurement. Because earlier people used to like, I worked in that retail company which is having, say, presence in 10 countries with the 10 different brands, and all the brands are going to the same vendor for their own requirement. So all the information are coming together and it gives us so much insight on that.
Okay.
On the sale front also, that retail company gets the sale around 70% from their loyalty customer. And because of the huge data bank and this big data analytics, we are able to identify the shopping pattern gender wise, nationality wise, the pattern wise, that this time they have bought a shirt, so next time they would be requiring the lower. So the specific customer and SKU wise promotion being run, and they have given the good promotion, whatever the item, and it has prepared the bucket list of their purchasing items. So those kind of analysis has helped at real time and the boost of the sales and the margin in the retail sector.
Good. So, Rangaraj, taking cue from what you earlier said, while retail is a lot about, how do you increase sales, how do you kind of get speed to kind of market, opportunities, identification, etc. Finance as an area is a lot to do not just with improvement and opportunity identification, but compliance as well. And in the finance sector, there was RPA earlier, then intelligent automation came in. Now, the play of intelligent automation and analytics in the finance sector, what is your view on how this is shaping up this sector, both from a compliance perspective and the opportunity identification as such?
Sure. Thanks, Deepak. So finance analytics, at the end of the day, we need to ensure that the CFO is being helped to the maximum extent to manage the whole revenue, as well as ensuring that the payments are managed well. So one of the important areas is the working capital analytics, which is every CFO is looking for. One is the DPO side of it, days payable outstanding, or the days sales outstanding. So we are ensuring that with the help of analytics, how the payments are dispersed at the right time, optimum level. There are customers which pressurize and vendors who are pressurizing and ensuring that the early payments are done. So we do the complete analytics and tell them that where they are getting discounts, where actually they are not paying late, and why what are that, and the top vendors, the top 80 vendors for 80% whom the money is going out, what's happening with them. And the same way on DSO, improved collections, we have actually done the complete the order to cash, the cycle, and where right from the process side as well as I'm saying on the collection side, including a call center, how they are how they are doing the dunning process, or how they are calling the customers and ensuring that they are calling the right people and ensuring the collections are being done. So that cycle we map it, and with the help of data, the complete management is done, and ensure that the right interventions are there and the right insights are provided to each and every team to get it done. And you coming to now, you asked me about the control analytics. Okay, so each and every area now, as you said, whether it is RPA or the intelligent automation. So as we are speaking, we are implementing an end-to-end AP automation for our one of our client. So there are controls to be placed, like for example, when the invoice is coming in, when the queries are being handled, everything is now with the help of OCR, the scanned invoice to the platform, to entering into an SAP or Oracle or whichever ERP using. That entire process is now being completely controlled, with having sizable data being managed. That's one thing. And also the duplicate payments, which is always a problem problem for most of the times. And now we are completely using intelligent automation and ensuring that that's completely avoided, because automatically it does different types of permutation combinations and identifies is there any duplicate payments, or is there any wrong payments happening. And finally, just to touch upon that on the expense analytics, now that is also now become a big one, where not only the direct expenses, we are also managing the indirect expenses, and the analytics done on indirect expenses is showing up a lot of loopholes, which is helping us now to really use technology as well as data to ensure proper controls are put in place and proper procedures are there, and also the systems automatically throws up alerts to the right stakeholders saying that such deviations are happening. So that's how, Deepak, is the whole CFO is being the finance analytics is being managed.
So while all of this is so nice to hear, I just want to call on Rishi to understand from a very clearly technology IT perspective. There's always this, I would say, a heartburn challenge between business and IT not being very aligned. Some kind of dissonance there, which means that large programs started as an IT initiative, not adopted by business, and vice versa, and so on. So Rishi, in your experience, can you just shed light on how you're kind of handling?
Yeah. So, see, IT, we call it enabler. We call it, it is aligned to business. But I would say IT is business, and IT work very closely with all the stakeholders in the organization. So, IT plays a very vital role in terms of understanding the business need. So IT has to know, supply chain. IT has to know customer engagement. IT has to know finance, because it is all based on network IT technology. So nowadays, like GSTN, so it is an IT company. When you talk about say Uber, it is pure technology. So that is how IT has to function. And IT has to gather all the required business input from the respective stakeholders. And they need to deploy the technology. Technology is not into silos. It has to be very much, as per the business need of the organization, which brings, business value, not just for the sake of technology deployment. Also, we are talking about data and analytics. So if I talk about early days, it used to be the focus was not on data, and IT was just deploying some sort of database management, some sort of storage devices. And the key data was either those database or the say email data, which everybody was concerned of. But nowadays, with evolution of big data, with data mining and bringing out the intelligence or business value from data, it has become very, very important. Like people call data as oil, or a lot of terms have been coined. So we need to make sure, or IT need to make sure, that data is stored with full integrity. It is not changed without required access. We are able to access the data. We need to prioritize which data needs to be stored where and how it has to be accessed. It has to be near to the user.
Yeah. So Rishi,
Yeah.
so what I gather clearly from you is that IT is not a siloed technology function. It's much more a business function. Almost, I would say, a jack of all and a master of one, which means that an IT person, has a very broad view of business and has very deep technology skills. But that also calls for, I would say, Ravi, if I can just have you on this. You come from a company which is spread across not just the BPO, but the SI part, the consulting part as well. And I can tell you from my own experience in consulting, when I go to clients, there's a huge cultural shift that is needed for internally organizations also to grapple with the fact of that digital roles are not technology roles per se, but they're business roles. and it's also for companies also to reinvent, etc. So, what is from a sheer culture perspective and from a BPO perspective, right? What is your experience of how this is changing and this needs to change further? What is your view on that?
So there are 3 or 4 points which come here. The first is traditionally the siloed organization was the biggest limitation, right? So you focus on your functions efficiency. If you are saving money for your organization, everyone is happy. You have achieved your goal. But now the need is moving towards an experience-based layer, which means you have to look at it end to end, right? So it is about achieving the end result to the stakeholders who are impacted. So it could be like what Ranga said, it could be the vendor, it could be the customer. So you're trying to drive an experience layer. So the silos need to break first. So a lot of organizations are moving the journey. We are seeing organizations which are at one end and we are seeing organizations at the other end also. But there's a big gulf of culture which is in the middle. So that is step number one. The second is about having a little more standardized process. Now, what does standardization achieve is that if each of your, let's say you are a very federated company, which means your organization runs across the world with kingdoms and fiefdoms which are very powerful and which doesn't allow you to have standardization or even regulatory requirements. Forget about political issues. Standardization allows you to accelerate the journey towards analytics. But if your whole process is very, very federated, then you're going to struggle because the business case stacking up becomes very, very difficult. So that is the second challenge. The third is being data driven in terms of culture itself, right? So some of the older world companies are still, run, should I say, anecdotally, or should I run by experienced people who might be right, but the culture is not about data. The culture is my way, listen to me kind. So that is the third change which needs to happen. And fourth is also being agile, right? So it is not that you will get analytics right the first time, particularly where your predictive models working, etc. Your accuracy of some of your models might start low, and they tend to improve over a period of time, particularly where machine learning models are involved, etc. So we should be comfortable adopting it, starting with a minimum viable product. It could be 75% accurate today, but over a period of time, it starts learning and then the accuracy goes up. So you don't sort of diss the analytics and say, hey, I'm more accurate than you. Whereas if you can focus on making that better, then it works a lot. So these are some of the nuances. There are several deeper nuances. But the primary thing is about the data-driven culture. Getting that right is very, very important.
So while we talk about culture from I would say as an outside perspective, all of us are in some kind of client-facing capacity. We look at culture to be changed outside, etc. But let's look at it internally from a BPO perspective itself, right? How do you think your own industries have evolved from a business model, and how is analytics disrupting finance, retail, and all of that is one aspect. I think we have all covered in some form. But what about internally, right? How do you all think, how do you think, for example, the BPO itself industry is changing? Rohit, any specific instance, maybe just quick snippets from all of you to get very individual experiences on this?
Yeah, so I can say that I got the opportunity of 2 transitions of my company to BPO partners. So at the time of 2014, the entire thought process was very old and different, which is completely on the FT base. But when we started the second phase of the transition, then the thought process was entirely changed, and it is nothing to do with the FT transition, but it is on the machine first delivery model. So whatever the digital first initiative has to be driven first, and then whatever the human related skeleton work would be there, so that has to be transition. So the entire main shift changes has been happened in next 3 to 4 years. Okay. So that is how the entire game is changing, and accordingly the BPO is also getting geared up to provide the digital solution first to the client, and then coming to the table on the FT negotiation kind of thing.
So Rishi, in your experience, you think from a sheer hard IT experience, in terms of platforms being used for delivery and things like that, how have they evolved with analytics coming into foray in terms of you managing delivery internally more optimally?
Yeah, so IT has been delivering basis data and analytics for its internal clients to support internal business. So if you talk about us, we have implemented, say, bots, RPAs for our internal support, wherein customer experience has improved a lot. Also, we have been able to manage efficiency from our say internal service desk perspective, wherein you get faster response. You know there are already chatbots implemented. Responses are much faster, and those issues get resolved much faster, resulting into a higher uptime, resulting into improved business outcome, resulting into better customer experience, internal customer experience. Also, if I talk about our business, wherein we deliver to our external clients, wherein we started with the FT based business. Now, many of our clients, we are upgrading them to outcome based model, wherein the revenue, the profit, it is based on it can be, say, per connect, per sales generated, or purely outcome based. Also, a lot of repeated tasks are getting automated using RPAs, bots. So all these new initiatives are working in tandem and definitely helping organization into delivering better business results, also helping in margin expansion for the organization.
So, just conscious of time, Rangaraj and Ravi, I'll kind of want to understand how analytics played a big role. I heard in one of the conversations, how did your organizations really leverage analytics to kind of start looking at things?
Okay. So let me take first, and then I'll ask Ravi to know. One, just to touch upon the previous question to connect it to the analytics. Once, our data was dispatched, though we are having clients, globally, we were catering them from multiple regions, but each data center was completely independent, and that's where we were not able to compare between the regions itself, how we are performing and all that. So that one thing, we did a 18 months transformation, Deepak, and we went through a transformation to ensure that the IT infrastructure, the data centers are all moving into cloud and all that, so that the data analytics makes sense. Rather than doing it in silos, there is no use. The same client in 4 regions is being catered 4 regions, and we don't even give them insights. What's happening in the one side, there is a great practice which is not happening in the other one. So we ensure that all these are taken care one. So now coming to the actual analytics. So right from HR now, let me take an example in HR and the support functions, and then I will ask Ravi to take up in the HR side of it now. Right from a person thinking about comes into a site and applies through a chatbot. Okay, because it's all now completely chatbots handles it. He just applies, his details are being done, he has a video call done. So all the data is being already analyzed and then given to HR, saying that hey, finally these are the top 8 or top 10 candidates who are actually ready for the or fitting into the position or something like that. So where we run the thing, and then his journey. So then once he is onboarded, he has actually an app and all his data, like he has everything on his fingertips today, so that anything he also gives back as feedback is being real time analyzed, so that the right feedback, for example, to the training team goes, the person is not happy with the training, or to the admin teams or everything. So that is on the support functions. I'm just taking HR as an example. And the second one, just to touch upon, because we are from a contact center, and as I told that speech analytics, where not just in real time the customer voice is converted into text text to intent, and the next best action. So everything is covered through real-time analytics is being done, where where we are able to really cater to the customer. And what happens is the customer data is analyzed in the backend, and so he has already come in 3 different channels. I'm just taking, he has already done an SMS, he sent an email to us, he has already done, for example, a call before, and now he has come through a chatbot or whatever it is. All this data is already analyzed, so that when the call center agent is taking now, he just doesn't start from scratch, but he is already well informed to actually take care of him, so that the resolution is better. So that's from my side, Ravi.
Okay.
Just some 30 seconds from you on that.
Yeah. I think if I look at my organization internally, I mean, I was just looking, I don't know, I guess it's not shown. The most powerful thing has been an app called the InfiMe app, right? So it captures a variety of stuff. Of course, it's scaled up in the last 1.5 years. It's been very useful in the COVID times. So internally, the organization getting digitally savvy and support the employees wherever they are, because these days nobody is in Bangalore or just Pune or our own location. This morning I was having a chat with my team. Somebody was in Andhra Pradesh. Somebody was in Punjab, and somebody was in Mannargudi in Tanjavur or somewhere. I mean, so everybody getting supported through standardized apps and portals. I think that's really I was so proud to get some of these apps working in the COVID times. I think that's the most powerful story if I look at it internally. Externally, of course, several stories, and I probably don't have time to do.
Yeah, so before I kind of open up for Q&A, I'll just kind of have some closing on my assessment of how analytics is orchestrating the whole thing. I kind of look analytics when I go and meet my clients on 3 things, right? One is, can it unravel hidden patterns? Economist had a beautiful article called Data Refineries. Has what do? You take sales data, you forecast that data of a particular product, the data loses its veracity. What more can you know with the data? I think that's where a lot of these unstructured data, video analytics, all of that are really trying to come up with. The other thing is, can it also kind of work in a very seamless and interconnected manner? Analytics today, if, for example, can you run a trade promotion offer for a retail client, looking at raw material prices which are there in an exchange somewhere, right? How can you connect the dots together in analytics? I was with a client wherein they were running trade offers for coconut oil, and crude oil exchange prices were impacting the way coconut oil prices were changing. So you needed an analytic solution to bridge all of these together. And the third thing which I see is, can analytics itself drive change in the organization? The way KPIs and scorecards are structured today, how can all of that be driven from analytics, right? So I would almost see these 3 kind of things coming together, whether it's in a BPO setting or in an industry setting or any of those places. So I would say that is the way I see real value coming in. So let's open up for some of the Q&A, and then let's understand if there are any questions from the audience. If not, I think we can kind of close the session. Any questions, anybody? I think the moderator will kind of maybe.
Do not have any questions at this stage.
Okay.
So thank you very much to each and every one of you, Ravi.